Underneath the poetry.
The term to best describe my Burrowes experience would be transformational. I entered the institution as a nervous and uncertain teen, and 4 years later, I graduated a self-assured young man, looking forward to a future with endless possibilities. My greatest influences would be Miss Bonita Harris and Miss Josefa Tamayo. Miss Harris had a magnetic personality and an intellectual brilliance that inspired me to be hungry for superior knowledge, and she also challenged me to demand more from myself academically. With Miss Tamayo, I was impressed with her as a person who was dedicated to her craft. She was a prolific worker. I don't recall any other tutor who would have produced the sheer volume of work she did during my time at the school. I spent many hours sitting in the sculpture department, eagerly watching her carve and listening to her inspiring words. Graduating with a distinction and copying the best graduating student prize from a class of 26 competitive students. What made the moment even more memorable was the fact that I was promoted to my final year on probation. You see, Dr. Williams didn't think my Board of Studies exhibition showed any artistic individuality, and therefore he think I was not good enough to go over to the final year. But Miss Jones convinced him that I would have passed all of my theoretical courses, and I should be given the opportunity, at least for the first term, to see how I adjust. This setback shocked and motivated me. From then on, I outworked all my classmates. I was determined. I had a laser-like focus, and it paid off. This distinction was my way of sticking it to my critics and naysayers. The opportunities gained while at Burrowes for me fits into two categories: learning from the pros and learning from senior students. I learned a lot from some of the greatest artists in Guyana, inside and outside of the classroom setting, listening to tutors such as Dr. Dennis Williams, Elfrida December, George Simon, Emerson Samuels, Raylene Duncan, Charles Barker, and Everly Austin. I was also privileged to sit in the company of Mr. Moran, watch him work and listen to his philosophies on life and spirituality, and I would have gained and learned a lot from him. But the special privilege that I treasure the most is the visits that Mr. Stanley Graves would have done to my studios. Every time he came to Guyana, he would have visited my studios, and we would have sit down and have lots of lengthy discussions on things related to art and artistic development, and a lot of his ideas I would have utilized in my major tasks in my final year. Some of the senior students who I would have been inspired by and learned a lot from included Regan Henry, Stephen McKenzie, Howie, June White, Vanessa Fox, Luan Jackson, and I would have been fortunate to have Brian Bourne as my studio mate, and I would have learned a lot from Brian in terms of painting and sculpture, and those experiences I still treasure on to this day. After graduating, I pursued a B.A. in Fine Arts from the University of Guyana, and in 1996 I graduated with distinction. I also completed a postgrad diploma in education with administration as the focus in 2002. I've spent several years teaching art at the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels. I'm presently a part-time tutor at the Burrowes School of Art. I taught for 5 years at the School of the Nations here in Guyana, and I spent 14 years teaching at the Bishop Michael Allen School in Freeport, Bahamas. I'm a published author. I have 8 published poetry collections. My first collection of Water Lilies was published in 2017. I also have the honor of having 2 #1 bestsellers in the Amazon New Release category. Seduce, which was published in 2019, was #1 in the Caribbean and Latin American poetry category, and The Flaws in Our Teens was #1 in the Being a Teen category in the same year. I would give 3 bits of advice to the current students and potential artists. 1. Make yourself teachable. If you're not teachable, your development will be stymied. 2. Learn to appreciate constructive criticism. You're not going to get anywhere by always being thin-skinned. And 3. Understand the importance of content curating in an age of information overload.